Om Sahana Vavatu Sahano Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karvavahai Tejasvinavaditamastu Ma Vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om. वसुदेवसुतं देवं कंसचाणूरमर्दनं देवकी परमानन्दं कृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुं कृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुम्. So we are at verse 31 of chapter 6 of Bhagavad Gita. And now the whole discourse on meditation by Lord Krishna is almost winding down. There's one more verse, and then after that Arjun will ask questions, and then he'll answer and clarify a few things. And we are at the highest peak of it, that, in that Turiya state or samadhi, or the final thing that we are all seeking in meditation. What happens? That's what Krishna Bhagavan is describing in all different ways to give us encouragement to be on the path and to show us that how great is that final state. So keeping all that in mind, the last verse that we did, verse 30, the English translation of that verse is, "He who sees me everywhere and sees everything in me, he never gets separated from me, nor do I get separated from him." So here when Krishna Bhagavan was saying me, don't take it Krishna Bhagavan as a body, but Krishna Bhagavan is a consciousness. So he's just saying that once you see everything in me and me everywhere, you are never separated. You are always with me, or I never separate from you. So that was the thing that we did. And now let's go to verse 31. I'm going to chant. Sarva bhuta sthitam yo mam bhajatyekatvamasthitah sarvatha vartamanopi sayogi mai vartate. So sarva bhuta sthitam, abiding in all beings, established in all beings. Yaha, who? Mam, me. Again, he's talking about me, but consciousness. Bhajati, worships. Ekatvam, in unity. Astitah, established. Sarvatha, in every way. Vartamanaha, remaining. So this has a little bit deeper meaning, and we will see what it means. Like any kind of work that we do, that's what it means. Api me is also, sa is that, yogi, and he's talking about the meditator. Mai, in me, again consciousness, just think of that. Vartate, abides in me. So those are the Sanskrit words. So what is he saying over here? So he is kind of, it's the same thought from the last verse, but he's expanding it a little more. So just keep that in mind. So how does a realized yogi interact with the world? That's what it is telling you again over here. So how does he kind of transact or deal with the world? So Bhagavan says that main thing is he's established in that oneness. Like I think Anilji was talking about it, that how he started feeling more and more oneness. That's what. So the knowledge that I am, that me and Paramatma are one. That's what is the main thing point over here, that in the essence we are the same. And before the previous verses, how Swamiji was saying that sometimes we are so afraid to even say that because we find this such a big gap, and people are like, no, I just want to be separate. We don't have the courage. So he said we have to get over that and first realize that it is at the essence we are the same. And also that he realizes everything resides in me and I am in all. So that same what verse from last time, we have to, because it's like a building up on that. So he's kind of still aware of his limited body. It's not like he's not aware of that. He's aware of limitation, but he knows in essence, and this is just a temporary veil he has created on himself, or all of us have created. He knows that. Because to me, it's like being in the dream and knowing it's a dream. That's what this is all about. So from that standpoint, the highest standpoint, when he looks at the world, he looks at everything as an expression of himself. What does that oneness mean? That's what he's telling you. And so that's why he worships. Worships meaning what? When we think of worship, we always think of like going to the mandir and doing some aarti, or sitting and doing some puja. And when we go through Bhagavad Gita, he's going to tell you in chapter 9 what really worship means. I mean, if you think that the world is all Bhagwan, so whatever you do for anybody becomes a worship. And that's why, like when I'm talking to the children, a 10th grade, 15-year-old, it's like, how do I explain anything you do in the world can become worship? And they all know the Shabri story. Like the Shabri was sweeping every day, saying that she was actually doing puja. She was doing worship by lagaing jhadu. So even the smallest job, cleaning the toilet or whatever, anything can become worship if you have this attitude. That's what he's talking about. So you can take out some time to do, actual worship if you enjoy that and all that. But if you don't have time, you can do this in this attitude, and Bhagwan will look at it as a worship. That's what it is talking about. So when you see the whole word as expression of the whole, then what happens? So Bhagwan says that one who is doing this way, he's actually worshipping me and the Supreme Self. He's worshipping Supreme Self, who is residing and existing in all beings. And then the words are ekatva astitaha. So it means established in that oneness. So when he's serving the world as an expression of himself, so he was trying to explain it, like the Dillivale Swami, Nikhilanandji, he always tried to come up with some example. So he's saying, and some of his example, you may connect, you may not, but it's pretty interesting the way he looks at it. So he was saying that it's like me looking in the mirror myself, and I'm like, I'm looking good. Like, and if I get dressed up or something, it's like me admiring myself. See what I'm saying? So when he's looking at his own self in the whole world, he is as though enjoying himself. That's what that worship, because it's like, how does that work, So I thought this was a pretty brilliant example he came up with. And so he is enjoying himself in the form of this world. So if he serves someone, or he loves someone or take care, he loves everybody. So that's what, a particular action he's doing, say, of some loving kindness or something. So he is interacting in this way. Somebody can be happy or unhappy. That does not matter. But he looks at it, I'm myself unhappy over there, So and I myself am happy, but we will see that it's a different paradigm. That's what he was talking about. Because when we think, oh my God, if somebody's unhappy, I also become unhappy and start crying with them. That's not what it is, okay? So there is a difference over here in this interaction. So I'll try my best to explain what he means, with the help of other Swamis, what they are saying and all that. It's a little bit deeper subject. So outwardly, somebody may look totally different from me. For example, the Shri Shri Ravi Shankar dealing with the terrorist or some criminal in this. Outwardly, they're like poles apart. There's nothing common in it. But that's where these swamis or the people who are in that state, they know that the self is same. So if somebody is happy, it's my expression only being happy. And if somebody is unhappy, my expression is only being unhappy. But he does all of these things, this experience, establish in that highest state. That's why any kind of fear, joy, confusion, whatever you say, it is established in that. So he never leaves that bliss. At a transactional level, it may seem like, oh, he's getting unhappy or something by seeing somebody, but like the compassion may be there and all that, but he never leaves that platform. And I'm trying to think of a worldly analogy. It's something like an actor who's very wealthy and all that, huh? And now he has to go act as a beggar. So he's gonna do the acting of the beggar and all that, and it will look like, oh my God, how pathetic and all. But he already knows that I have everything. I'm not a beggar. Something like that. Okay. So the other thing is that suppose now somebody can look at it as, okay, if he is just serving himself and all that and loving himself only, is this being selfish and all that? So he's saying that this is not a selfish thing as such, because he's not looking at himself just at this body that he was born into, but he has become the whole cosmos. So from that angle, you cannot call it selfish, even though it is for himself. It's like me taking care of my body different, if like we gave that example, if a body is, one part is sick, the other parts, how they kind of compensate and help because they feel the oneness. So keep all those concepts in mind to understand this. So in the other example that the Nikhilananji gave, that suppose if he picking up a little ant and taking care of it, so or a bird or some, like anything small. The reason he said ant, we may not be whenever, by the time we try to pick up an ant, it'll get crushed probably. So we don't want to do that. But he was just saying that anything which is even so insignificant, and if he takes care of it, he's just doing it, thinking of as though he's doing it for himself. That's number one. And suppose if something dies while he's taking care of it, okay? Some other person who has an attachment just to the body might start crying or something. This person is not going to do that, because he knows that, okay, if one body dies, it's going to take another form. He has that very firm understanding about it. So the things that changes in the world, he doesn't get fazed by it like we do. I think that's the point he was trying to make, Nikhilananji, when he was giving this example. So this is a very different experience and a complete, he called it a different paradigm altogether. So another main thing in this particular verse is, no matter what he does, any kind of job he does, any kind of action is done, that does not matter. Outwardly, you can be doing anything, involved in variety of activities, that does not affect that state. So what I was thinking, inferring from this is, in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna Bhagavan chose Arjun to give this knowledge, who had a most difficult job as a soldier, and the kind of war that came in front of him, it was like a war between the families only, and he had to kill his most loved people. That situation also, you can do that as a job and still be established in the highest self. So then we cannot make a bahana, to establish in a self, I have to give up everything and sit in the gufa or something. Only certain kind of jobs are sattvic, certain, you know what I'm saying? We cannot make any of that, because here Krishna Bhagavan said it very, very clearly that no matter what you do outside as your duty, that's not going to affect this state. So, just wanted to bring that point up. And then another point, Bhagavan says, last part, that sa yogi mai vartate, that he's always in me. Same thing that what he said, we were always established in the Supreme Self. And then one brilliant example that Nikhilananji gave was, he's saying that it's like a plane, okay? Plane is on the ground or in the air. There are two situations, right? Either it stays on the ground or it flies. Both situations, it's already in space. The space is all pervading, whether it's sitting on the ground or it's flying. But if an ignorant person looks at it, will say, oh, it's in space when it's going up, but it's not in space when it's on the ground or something like that. But if you know the nature of space, that doesn't change. No matter whether it's on the ground or in the flying, it is encompassed by the same space. It is in that same space. So that's what it is. Similarly, that once this yogi understands the nature of the self, all sarvatha means every situation, all the time, through all the variety of activities, is always in him. So this is the great grand vision that Bhagwan is talking about for that yogi in this couple of verses. And then one more verse he's going to talk about and then conclude his discourse on meditation. And as I said, then Arjun is going to ask questions, and those questions are very, very important questions because they come to us also, and he's going to give the answer to that. So that's what this verse is. And
I was thinking, Umaji, when you give the example for the previous one, that wouldn't actor be a good example, knowing that he's only acting, and therefore whatever he does as an actor, he always knows himself to be something. He knows himself to be what the person is. And as an actor, he could be doing anything. So right now, in that, a realized person, knowing himself only to be an actor at this point, because he knows his real nature, his true nature, he could be doing anything.
Correct. That's why, actor example is a good one, because sometimes the actor can act like a beggar, another time some very, very rich man, king, doctor, engineer, whoever. So like that. And he knows that other people are also playing the role. They have just forgotten their nature.
Yeah.
So they are just in an ignorant form, and he knows very well they are him only. Just So that's why actor example is such a good one, because sometimes it's hard to find good examples in the world, but this is a very good example. Or the other example is of the son's king who has forgotten he's son's king, and some beggar took him or something. There are a couple of different versions of the story. One way, mele mein kho gaya wo, and then he forgot that he was a king's son, and he started begging with the beggars, and the king comes and takes him. And the other one was, the king actually purposely sends him somewhere. That's another version of the story, that he needs to learn a lesson, because wo luxury mein baitha rahega, so he's not going to learn anything. So he sends him off. Like in the olden days, that's why they used to send the people to Gurukul. Where in Gurukul, there was no discrimination, whether you're from a poor family, rich family, all the king's sons also had to do the same work and wear the same clothes, uniform. So many different points are there through this, true. Yeah. Premji, you have a question?
No, I just came.
Oh, okay, you are just saying hello to everybody. Okay. All right.
I'm sorry I'm late.
Hari Om, Premji. Any other person has any question or comment for this?
Hari Om, Umaji, I was also a little late. Sorry.
Oh, that's all right. Yeah, I was wondering where all the people are, but everybody came finally.
Yeah.
So any thing we need to discuss, or should we go to read? Any volunteers to read? I thought by now everybody should be like, oh, I want to read. Okay, Miraji, you're on, even though you came late. Can't hear you.
I said I wasn't that late, but not early enough to say my hellos, and greet people. So I was just a wee bit late. You had started right then. Anyways, so verse 31.
We are 31, yeah.
Yeah. He who, being established in unity, worships me, who dwells in all beings, that yogi abides in me, whatever be his mode of living. The meditator who has integrated himself into a single pointedness steadily contemplates bhajati upon me, the self which is the essential spark of life in all forms in the world. Such an individual, whatever be his activities in the external world, ever lives in me through a conscious awareness of the self. This stanza is given here mainly to indicate that a man of realization need not necessarily retire to some secret cave in some forgotten valley of the Himalayas, but can maintain his divine consciousness in all states of existence, in all conditions of life, and under all happy or unhappy circumstances. When a man is ill, no doubt he has to withdraw himself from the fields of activities, strains, and exhausting recreations and go to a sanatorium in order that he may revive. Having regained the maximum natural health, that patient need not thereafter live forever in the sanatorium. On the other hand, he should come back to his old fields of work and live, perhaps, a more active life than ever before.
So this is a very interesting thing, that angle that Swamiji brought, because like somebody was saying, when we talk about religion, I'm not talking about this religion that divides, huh? So don't take it wrong, like Hindu Muslim fighting or something, not that kind of. But what is religion is like, certain set of values that we want to abide in so that we get closer to God, right? That's the kind of a right definition of. So who needs a religion? It's people like us, because if somebody who's completely ignorant, जिसके ऊपर एकदम veil छाया हुआ है, who doesn't even want to listen about anything, forget about that, okay? Like hopeless cases, forget about that. They have to probably go through, like, we'll come to that chapter where he was incorrigibly indifferent, they are called, that's the title he gave Chinmayananji. So, and the other ones are realized soul. They don't need religion, right? उनको क्या करना है? Because they don't need a set of rules. Hey, ऐसा करो, वैसा करो. They already got the highest. So who needs a religion? In between people. जो लटके हुए इधर. We have kind of little bit aware कि कुछ है, but we are not reached there, right? So he gave this example that, okay, if you're sick, you go to a hospital, but you don't need to remain in the hospital forever. So somebody who's saying, okay, I want to meditate. Oh my God, I have to meditate. Hey, if you got the highest, you don't need to sit down and close your eyes. You can see the Bhagwan and everything and keep doing. That's why some of these people, how much they achieve, it's like you're shocked. Like you see Shankaracharya ji, age of 32, he left the world. And he wrote so many books. And if you see Chinmayananji or even today, there are so many Swamis, Mukundananji and all that. They do, yoga camps, they do write books, they do this, and then they take care of so many different devotees and all. They're not sitting in meditation, subah se sham tak, in some gufa or something. Because they've already got that highest and now they are doing the work. That's what he's trying to tell you. Because we have some crazy idea that, we have to, somebody who is like in that state, sannyasi, even the definition of sannyasi is totally different in Bhagavad Gita. He's saying the one who gets over his likes and dislikes is a sannyasi. That's how he told. And we think sannyasi is somebody who's worn a robe. Yes, they can be also same, but not necessarily. That's all he's saying.
Umaji, could you say, the shloka, Brahma Arpanam Brahma Havi, if you see everything in, could you, when I read this paragraph, and I thought of that shloka, does that apply or does
100%, 100% it applies. Because what is telling you that everything is Brahman in that shloka. And it's, and it's telling you, and then it's just giving the example, the reason they do it before eating, that the food is also Brahman.
Yeah.
I'm also Brahman, and this Havan Kund in my stomach, like the Agni, is representative of that Agni. I'm putting the Ahuti in that, so that's Brahman. So it's just the way, that is the highest yagna, they call it. If you can see the oneness in everybody, then you don't even need to go and do any other puja. That's what, in chapter 9 we will learn.
And every action.
Every action, exactly. Every action becomes right? Yagna. So that is the highest. So when that in that chapter 4, when there were 12 different yagnas that came, right?
Yeah.
This one was the highest one. Okay, if you cannot see that yet, then you can do the other one to take you there. The goal is that one only, Brahma Arpanam Brahma Vihi. Exactly. So you have this connection is absolutely perfect. That's why it's the same concept in different chapters. Taken a different angle, it's the same thing. Because whatever he wanted to say, we already discussed that. He already said it in chapter 2.
Yeah.
Everything.
Okay.
Now he's just expanding. Taking the same idea and explaining it all different ways. So it sinks into us better. But that's very good that you are making that connection. That's exactly what's going to happen. That once we do the Bhagavad Gita completely, and now when we redo it, then you start seeing the connections. You know? Yeah.
Similarly, a disintegrated man of unhealthy temperament is in spiritual life treated through meditation, and when he regains his godly strength and vitality, he can certainly re-enter the fields of his earlier activity and yet maintain in himself the cultural perfections and spiritual knowledge that he has gained during his spiritual treatment.
So this paragraph clearly tells you, and then, if you see some of the autobiographies of some of the saints, sometimes this can happen too, that, okay, they got this higher state, but they're enjoying it so much. It's like, I don't want to move from that state. But their gurus will give them, डांटेंगे उनको, बोलेंगे कि, okay, you got the state, now don't sit there and just revel in it. Go and do some work. फिर उनको भेजा अमेरिका में. योगानंद जी को भेजा, विवेकानंद जी आए यहाँ पे and all that. Because of this only, that they are now in the field back, and it's not easy for them. I mean, sometimes, Chinmayanand ji used to say that sometimes people will ask such crazy questions कि वो लोग तो सर पकड़ के बैठ जाएंगे कि क्या बोले इनको अभी. But they have to still deal with all kind of, I mean, they're compassionate, so they're not going to tell them. They'll still help everybody. But he was just saying from the worldly perspective, it's hard. And then somebody was saying that we think that we have problems in our family, right? Dealing with one family, 2 children and few. He's saying that to them, these people who are like at that state, everybody can come and tell their family problem. And they have to be compassionate to everybody, and they have to listen to everybody, they have to help everybody. So it's difficult, but they still, the reason they do it is that's what Swamiji explained to us over here.
I'm going to put in 2 cents of mine.
Yeah, of course.
Every class that we have here is like a dose given to us every week, so we can go back and reflect and apply.
Yeah, that's exactly, yes, that's exactly was the idea.
Like a dose.
Yeah, like we used to call it.
When I read this paragraph, I thought of the class.
So we used to say in our Houston class when we were there, part of the study group, this is like charging our battery.
Yes.
On Tuesday, we had a Tuesday over there. Tuesday we used to feel so charged and ready to take on, and फिर battery down हो जाती थी by the time weekend comes. It's like, oh my God, I need the dose again. And that's why they have this whole system, right? And early in the morning, you connect to some higher thing. Because then you can have the whole day, you can have that charged battery. So it's exactly for that reason. Yeah.
Maybe one more thing I noticed here. In this paragraph is saying, treated through meditation, he regains his godly strength and vitality. So through meditation, I think what happens, in my view, mind can be your friend or mind can be your enemy. Mm-hmm. And meditation teaches you how to control your mind.
Absolutely.
And that's how you gain the vitality and the strength.
Absolutely. Because see, all the practices that Krishna Bhagavan has told us to do to reach that state is making your mind your friend. Right? So it's like, and that's why sometimes, like in the Vedas, they say 80% of it is how to fulfill your desire. Because people know that there are desires people have. They say, okay, if you have a desire, no problem. Go fulfill, but you have to fulfill it this way. Means there's a prescription given. And that prescription can purify your mind to the extent that you start questioning, hey, who am I? And you might forget your little bit, your desires. So the whole Shastras are designed that way. It's not denying anything. It's saying, okay, if you've been, like they say, ki sansar mein aaye hain, nobody's saying don't enjoy everything. But enjoy with a proper attitude, and at the same time start learning higher stuff. And then as you learn higher stuff, you automatically will drop the other things, in your life. So that's how it is. So what you're saying, absolutely true. You are making at every stage when you're doing those practices, you're making your mind your friend.
It was only a mischievous misunderstanding that has been deliberately brought into the Hindu traditional thought by the saboteurs of our culture that had perverted the noble Hindu idealism. There is a very unhealthy tendency among us to believe and preach that spiritual self-realization is a death knell to all activities. Had it been true, we would not have been discussing now this very textbook, which is the noble labor of a man of realization, Vyas, reporting the wisdom of the divine personality. Work, in fact, can be performed and really enduring fruits be gained only when the worker has got himself established in the self. The labor of the Geeta is to advise Arjun that dedicated work is a means of self-development.
So see how much, that's why I think that a lot of people, they love the karma yoga definition, explanation and everything in Bhagavad Gita. Even though he talked about all different things, karma yoga, bhakti yoga and all that, because you don't need to give up anything, but just change the attitude and what you're doing. That's all he's saying. And then he giving the example that even Vyasji, it must not have been easy to write the whole Mahabharata. 100,000 verses. It's like, I think Guinness World Records for the longest epic,
Yes.
And then he also declared, Vyasji, any kind of situation that can happen in sansar, whether it's political, personal, what you call social, economical, you name it. That parallel you can find in Mahabharata. So in other words, if you take it the opposite of that, meaning if it's not in Mahabharata, that means it does not exist in the world. Itna bada challenge diya unhone. Whoever has the courage to read it from first verse to the 100,000 words will find those stories in there, and learn some lessons from it. Itna sab unhone upar, that is just Vyas ji ka ek hi hai, a little tip of the iceberg Mahabharata. He did the 18 Puranas, and he did all the 4 Vedas. He kind of organized it. Before that, it was all bunched together, I heard. But he's the one who compiled it. So he's saying, look at, this book we would have not been reading if he didn't compile it properly. So he's just telling you the karma yoga ka kitna importance hai. That's what he's bringing back to. And now he's going to say something even more interesting that we never think about it. The next paragraph, sorry.
Okay. In the same Gita, there is a deeper significance in the fact that Krishna, the perfect, is also on the battlefield, exposing himself perhaps more to the dangers of the battle than Prince Arjun himself. A charioteer meets the arrows earlier than the warrior who stands behind him. Entering the battlefield armed with nothing but his irresistible smile, and in effect becoming himself almost the uncrowned lord of the battlefield, wherein the entire war, as it were, comes to revolve around Krishna, the central personality. That's true. This means that a man of realization will, in all conditions, be able to enter into any activity and still maintain in himself the unbroken awareness of the divine that he is.
Isn't that
While
amazing?
reading this, sorry.
Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry, did you want to say something?
No,
Manju?
my paragraph finished, so I didn't know. There was something more.
Okay. While reading this commentary, some students might feel that we are bringing an overemphasis in our over-enthusiasm, reading a bit too much into the stanza. We can only request them to ponder for themselves over the comprehensiveness of the words used in the daring statement. whatever his mode of life be, sarvatha vartan,
It's
the
from the
meditator. Okay.
it's from the verse Sarvatha Vartamanopi.
Yes, sorry. Sarvatha Vartamanopi, the meditator yogi abides in me. So, whatever his mode of life be, Sarvatha Vartamanopi, the meditator or yogi abides in me.
So he's just telling you, but we never think about it, right? That Krishna Bhagavan was sitting as a charioteer, usko arrow pehle milta hai. Putting himself in so much danger, And also, I was thinking that Krishna Bhagavan ne decide kiya ki bhai he's not going to pick up a weapon and all. He didn't take any important role in the thing. क्या बने driver? जब इंडिया में बोलते हैं ना भाई मैं अपना ड्राइवरी का काम करूंगा. क्या काम लिया उन्होंने? Here he is like the highest over here. He's completely like one with that consciousness. So he has taken the most, and then somebody was saying that it's not like driver बन गए तो वो और कुछ काम नहीं करेंगे. He took care of the horses. He bathed them, he did all of that, उनका उपचार किया, उनको खाना खिलाया, सब कुछ किया उन्होंने. एक ड्राइवर का जो काम होता है उन्होंने पूरा किया. So he's taken this job, but he's the highest. So he himself proved it. That you don't just sit around, and then whole Krishna's life is like that. He never, हम लोग को वो बंसी वाले कृष्ण दिखाई देते हैं, but that was a very small part of his life, right? Once he went to that Mathura, he never rested till the end, So we always look at Krishna Bhagavan as Bhagwan and all that, but he actually gave the example by taking this so-called human form. By his own example also, he's teaching us, besides the other stuff that he talks about. Yeah. Any other question, comment?
Hi, Jai Shri Krishna.
Jai Shri Krishna.
The reason I was commenting this one is, I think what we are doing, the Karma Yoga, which is our major role in having a human life here. But then what I see that we go in and out of Bhakti Yoga and in and out of Gnana Yoga, like what we are doing right now. Do you see that in that sense, or do you see that is the correct analogy or not?
See, sometimes we get very confused about this different type of yogas and what is their relationship. You can integrate everything, because like somebody was saying that what is karma yoga? Gyan se kiya hua karma yoga hai. Right? Uh-huh. So we cannot separate them in boxes or anything. But what message Krishna Bhagavan is saying at one time, or actually Swamiji is interpreting this whole thing. Because in India, when we were growing up, it's like, hey, if you want to follow Adhyatma, you gotta renounce, you gotta leave the family, go in the jungle. Nobody is denying that part. There are some people, they are extremely vairagi from the beginning. Mm-hmm. And they know that family life is not for them. Mm-hmm. We're not talking about those people. So those people, they can take that path and reach that highest state. But a householder can also reach that same state. That's what Krishna Bhagavan is telling over here. So that's one point. And as far as different yogas are concerned, they all blend into each other, because because you came in late when we did chapter 3 and 4 of Bhagavad Gita, Arjun asked the same question. He said that, hey, if the Gnana Yoga is the one that takes you to the highest, why should I do the work? He's saying, no, your mind makeup is such, you have to do this action and purify your mind first before you indulge in the Gnana Yoga. That doesn't mean that I don't try Gnana Yoga at all. Okay? But it's going to fructify as our mind gets purified. Mm-hmm. And then Bhagavan also said that the people who reach the highest, they come back to the world to do Loka Sangra. Loka Sangra means welfare of the people. Mm. So, they may have reached the highest, and now they really don't need to do anything because they got the goal. But when they see other people, ignorant people walking around, they want to help them to reach the same state.
I see.
Right? Mm-hmm. So that's why they do it. So there are different reasons.
So the different level of the awareness in terms of the knowledge and reaching
Yeah.
to that level, everybody perform accordingly where they stand.
Exactly. So
Right.
buffets given to you, you can choose what you like, and then each person has to decide for themselves the personal journey. I cannot copy you or anybody else, or even you don't need to copy even the guru is going to give you everything, and because your mind makeup may be different from the guru. It's like, Chinmayananji's guru was opposite of Chinmayananji, because he went to that Uttar Kashi and he stayed there. He didn't want to move from there at all. Or even if you look at Ramana Maharishi, he went to one mountain and he stayed there. So that was his path. But his chelas and all go out and do other stuff. Vivekananda, his guru he was like, from the worldly perspective, he was uneducated, did not go to the university or anything. But Vivekananda is like a Harvard material, he talks. So that's why he sent him. That okay.
Yeah.
So that's why each person has to decide, and also how much the bhakti and all. And then the other part of it is, they are like different roads, but they all blend in one place and become one at that point. If somebody is following bhakti, will get the gyan. If gyan, will get the bhakti. Anyway, it's like two wings, they call it. So that's how it is.
So last question, is the meditation falling to the bhakti yoga or in the karma yoga? I know there is no black and white line.
There is no black and white. Meditation is more like the highest path. So it will go more with the jnana yoga,
Okay.
So, but it's like the one who is at the highest state can do all the other yogas very easily.
Right. Yeah.
It is already included in it, everything for him. But the reason Swamiji and Krishna Bhagwan gave so much emphasis on karma yoga, because that is the first step, number one. And a karma yogi can be jnana yogi or bhakti to hoga. Without bhakti, you can't even do karma yoga if you think about it. Because one of the main things about karma yoga is that Ishwar Arpan, that whatever I'm doing it for God. So if I don't even have bhakti, how will I do that? So little bit, everything gets included. See what I'm saying?
Right.
Once
In the more or less, some people have more of it, some people have less of it.
Yeah. It's so in the end, when you finish the whole Bhagavad Gita, all of a sudden it dawns upon you, oh my God, all these are so much blending into each other. I can't even separate it after a while. Yeah, that's what happens. Yeah.
Right. No, thank you very much. Yeah, no, it is very, very helpful to me. Right. Thank you.
Okay, any other doubt, question, comment? You want to share anything?
Isn't there that, when talking about meditation and samadhi, you're talking about savikalpa samadhi and nirvikalpa samadhi. So we could start from the bhakti yoga as a savikalpa samadhi, right? And that will lead to the nirvikalpa.
See, we used to, like you hear some discourse about bhakti and people will say, oh, bhakti is the easiest, right? We ever hear that. Usme kuch ritual nahi chahiye, kuch ye nahi chahiye, chalo bhakti karo, right? So our teacher used to say, pehle bhakti ka meaning to bhi to malum hona chahiye. And we say, okay, love God. He say, do you know who God is? If I don't even know who God is, how can I love God? So the first thing is, first to know. That's why she told us in Bhagavad Gita, bhakti came in chapter 12.
Yes.
It didn't even come early. Karma yoga came first. After Krishna Bhagwan told everything in chapter 2, straight went to karma yoga. Right?
Yeah.
And then karma yoga, he explained the whole science of it, everything and all that. And then he said, okay, now I'm going to tell you what Bhagwan is. So the next 6 chapter now it's coming. 7, 8, when we go to 7 chapters start. फिर जब उनको विश्व रूप दर्शन के बाद भक्ति जागी अर्जुन में, right? That's true bhakti. Before that, Arjun did not have the full surrender. We saw he was resisting in chapter 1. In chapter 2, all he said to Krishna Bhagwan, I'm confused. I don't know what I'm doing in my head. My thinking has become small. You be my guru and teach me means what? I'm ready to listen to you.
Surrender.
So then chapter 4 came. Krishna Bhagwan gave his visiting card. Remember, he told them that, hey, I'm the one who told this to the sun. And then he argued him at that time, how come you are standing here? You're telling me your son? How can it be? Then he said, then he talked about Maya and all that. Thoda thoda bhakti aayi. फिर जब विश्व रूप दर्शन देख लिया उसने really who God is, फिर जो उसमें भक्ति आई, those verses are there, entirely different plane. वो हाथ जोड़ के खड़ा है, the way he's talking, and you can, भक्ति जैसे फूट रही है उसके मुंह से, उसके पूरा रोम रोम भक्ति में समा गया उसके. That is really true bhakti. So you will see that as we learn who God is, हमारे में भी वैसे ही जागेगी भक्ति. Slowly. As we learn. So there is a whole process for bhakti also. It cannot just sitting and just doing some bhajan or something.
No, but it's just because sometimes we are more with the idol and the ideals behind it. Therefore you start with that.
Yeah, as long as you know. No, some people don't even know. वो लोग इतना fanatic हो जाते हैं मूर्ति को लेके भूल ही जाते हैं कि सब में they will fight with everybody and do all kinds of things, atrocious things, और पूजा कर रहे हैं और एकदम गुस्से में, like, because Bhagwan is saying, hey, you're not doing bhakti over here. And then when Bhagwan talks about in chapter 12 only bhakti, he starts the first quality, he says advaita, advaisha, means without, no dvesh for anybody. Sarva bhutanam, means not even a single, our teacher used to say, not even a single person. And then when we do Kathopanishad is going to come, that, Tejo Mananji is going to say that when we say see God in everybody, very easy to see God in all the goody people that you love. But they say, सब में भगवान है, खाली उसमें नहीं है. They say, no, yes, maybe. So the true bhakti is when you see this oneness. It's a very hard one, huh? True bhakti is not that easy.
Thank you.
So I think the life is like Panchamrit, where there are 5 elements which lead you towards the combination of those 5 elements. So life is like that. The Panchamrit has honey, which is, let's say, bhakti. So somebody would utilize more of a honey, or some would utilize more of the yogurt, somebody would utilize more of the butter or milk.
That's fine.
So it all kind of feel like that to create the environment and a homogeneous environment among each other, to make the Panchamrit, everybody uses the portion of the component of it to create the karmic account, right? To create the karmic activities. I mean, maybe I'm too far.
Yeah, no, I'm confused with what you're saying, because karmic activities are mostly like, impressions in our mind. That, whatever we do and we do with attachment, that causes that impression. If you do it without attachment. So we have went in detail in chapters 3, 4, and 5 that,
Okay.
what causes attachment and how to do it without, that's all. But,
Right.
As far as what to pick, there are other simple ways. Some people are very physically oriented people, others are a little emotional, others are more, logic and this and that they want. So if you want to broadly categorize, I'm just giving some hint. So, karma yoga, you start with the physical type of people. Hey, I don't want to sit and read Bhagavad Gita, but I want to go and do action. Okay, do it in a karma yoga style. Then you will improve. And emotional, okay, I am emotional person, instead of putting your emotion in the world and crying and being happy, put that emotion to Bhagwan in your bhakti. And if you are too much logic and all, okay, sit down and read Bhagavad Gita, the Vedanta, all the logic that you want will be there. So that's the process. That's how you can see it. But one predominant thing you can take, but in the end, one will pull the other 3 automatically anyway.
Right,
Yeah.
Either direction, right? But everything goes to single direction.
Yes. Yeah. It goes through the same arch, everything.
Yeah.
So, okay. Shall we close Bhagavad Gita if nobody has any other thing? Just raise your hand if you do.
No, it is just a little side comment. So, उमा जी आपने बोला था कि don't hate anything and do every work with a lot of passion, with a lot of love and everything. And so this morning I was cooking and I chopped a lot of onion, and then I was getting ready for class. हाथ तो धो लिए थे साबुन से. I washed my face and I don't know what happened. So पानी गिरे जा रहा था. तो अभी class, while I was reading also, I was going, जो भी कपड़ा पास में पड़ा था, wiping my eyes and all that. So I'm just thinking, it didn't turn out so good for me, or maybe I should be more careful. And in case you noticed and you were thinking, either she's so spiritually advanced कि भक्ति के नाम पे आंख से पानी गिर रहा है, या ये कि कोई बहुत दुख पहुंचा है, तो neither of the two happened. So, but I'll still continue to do whatever chores I really don't like to do, but I will do them more and more. Like doing them.
That's what I was telling sometimes I tell the children, I said, what is the most boring thing you find in your life? They say, when my mom tells me to go clean my room or something, they'll say. So I said, okay, you don't have time to do puja. Why don't you do it like a bhakti for God? And then and just take the most boring thing and think that you're doing it. And that turned that into puja. So their eyes light up. Okay, that sounds like a good deal. So same thing we can do for ourselves. Because it's going to, and maybe we forgot some of the things in, karma yoga. When the duties come to us, a lot of them are not pleasant duties. Aren't they? Is there anybody over here who says everything that I have to do is all, I love everything? Then they are lying. So it's like there are, for us householders, there are so many chores that we do there. If I rather sit and watch a show on the TV, but I gotta still, chop and clean and cook. And men also, when they go to, or women, when you go outside to work to earn the money, men, women, whoever, all the job that you do, you may love your profession, but there will be parts of it you don't like. So that's what Krishna Bhagavan has said, rise above your likes and dislikes. That's the first step he told you. And then if you look at everything as bhakti, then you actually start doing it in that mode. You don't feel like you're wasting your time or anything. That's another main thing. But sometimes I got to go read this Bhagavad Gita. I'm doing this other stuff and I'm wasting my time. That feeling also will not come. Suppose some job has to be done sometime, and you cannot do other stuff. So it's okay. Just look at, if you offer it to Bhagwan, it becomes a puja. He has made the whole path very easy for us, if you ask me. Krishna Bhagavan, by giving this knowledge, it has made it easy for us. Before that, we would say, oh my God, if I want to advance in spirituality, I got to do this. All he's saying, purify your mind, do it in the right attitude, look at oneness, and you are already progressing.
I think the easiest way probably is that you live a life with a complete external involvement, but create an inner mind where you can become a reasonably internally detached for your personal internal mind point of view. So outside person should not even feel that you are internally detached, and the inner person would get that happiness and tranquility by creating the second tier of the emotion.
Yeah, of course, it's a very personal thing, and people who have, like, Tejo Menaji was giving that advice too, that okay, you are learning Kathopanishad about death and all that. That doesn't mean you start going and giving discourses to everybody out there. This class is different. We have come here for that purpose. But what you do outside, that's different from your internal journey. You have to keep it just private. So, yeah. Okay, I'm going to close here and then go to Kathopanishad. Sarvadharman parityajya mamekam sharanam vraja aham tva sarva papebhya mokshayishyami ma shucha. Hari Om Shri Guru Pyo Namah. Hari Om.